On Screen Manitoba is an innovative membership-driven association that leads, builds, and represents the Manitoba screen-based industry.
The show is, it's not an easy show to make. I mean, one, we travel around North America to make the show.
Yeah.
And two, we're taking first-timers and helping them get a restaurant open. So they're not proficient. They don't have the skill set to open the restaurant, hence that's why I'm there. I mean, my business is being a restaurant consultant, and the show is about me being a restaurant consultant.
Yeah.
So it isn't my journey. I'm really the thread telling the story of these people's adventures. You know, viewers watch the show and kind of, everyone dreams of opening a restaurant, how crazy that is. People think, but because they eat, then they are an expert at the restaurant business. And I take very smart, very successful people, in cases, that have amassed fortunes that will leave that business and want to come into the restaurant business, which is kind of, I think that's what makes it great television. It's very entertaining because people can share the dream, and it's not necessarily my adventure.
Yeah.
It's really watching these people have their aha moment, their realization that they're like, wow, I think I might be over my head. Like every business, the number one case of failure is underfinanced. Going into whatever business and just not having the nut. And I don't care if you're a production studio, if you just don't have enough money to build edit suites or hire the staff, you're gonna fail. So you're on lack of capital. So that's kind of, that's the given. But the second and probably the most important thing that happens that people fail on is they don't necessarily define their business. And we've all been to those restaurants. I call them bagels and ice cream. You know, put these big, huge menus together, put everything, because we'll be all things for all people. So I, through exercises, you know, sometimes through a bit of sarcasm, get these people to realize that they have to define themselves. Like, don't go in the restaurant business because you want to be me. You don't want my life of fun and, you know, everything's happening, pouring champagne and everything's great. It's a business. So realize that if you don't define yourself as a restaurant, your customers will define you, and that's the most dangerous thing that can happen. You're going to open a restaurant, you hire me, David Adjey, as a consultant. First thing I ask you, and it's as cold and there's no romance in this, and I say, how much money do you want to make? And you go, Dave, I'd like to net $500,000. So you want to make $500,000 a year. That's the first thing we write on the paper, and then we work your formula back to, I found this space, what should I do? So we do the interior design. We spend based on you making $500,000 a year. We put the chef in place. We come up with a food program. We come up with your price points. We look at everything to make you $500,000. And a lot of people will find a space, write a menu, buy furniture, do all this stuff, and then not figure out that you're in the business to make money. And can work a year or 2 years and go, geez, there's no money. And then I get to get hired again, and I fix those restaurants. So it's a win-win for me. I don't know if it takes the romance out, but what it does is it grounds them to realize, like in all things, if you want to have good times, there's a lot of hard work involved in those good times. So I mean, I've never done anything in my entire life other than be in the restaurant business. You know, I'm in television now, but my television life is about being in the restaurant business.
Yeah.
So I think it's an amazing place to be. If you're social misfit, it's a great place to be because you can be in a kitchen. If you're ADHD like myself, it's a great place because you can do 5 things at once and kind of put the focus on little things as you're doing it. But I'm an extrovert, and I love people, and I love, you're a total stranger and you come into my restaurant, and if you say the word wow, that's one of the things that I need in my life. I need you to say wow. But it's also a very intimate relationship. I'm a total stranger, and I'm the last person that touches your food before you put it in your mouth. So it's like we've got this really wonderful relationship. Like, I need you, I'm feeding off you because I need that wow.
Yeah.
So I'm doing everything I can to make some food. But then again, you're trusting me to not kill you and not poison you. So someone very famous in television, very, very famous in television, said to me, you're not on television because you're a good cook. And I was like, oh. And this is someone that I've worked for before, I respect immensely, a great Canadian. And I think that people that know me will be able to figure out this person. And he said, you're on television because you are entertaining. You ride an emotional roller coaster. When you're disillusioned, we can see it on your face. When you're genuinely excited, we can see it on your face. And that's why people like to watch you. And you'll be on television for as long as you can keep that energy up, because it's not your cooking ability. Wow. I'm in my golden years as a chef. It's a young man's game. So when you get to my age, it's very difficult to stand behind the stove and do the day-to-day business. And I've taken the most exciting, part of the restaurant business, an opening of a restaurant, and be able to just harness that kinetic energy of that week or two before it opens, watching it open, watching someone have their aha moment. It's like, if you have kids, it's the same feeling of like getting the kids up on two wheels on their bike, and the first time, they get on the bike, you're like, it's a weird sense of accomplishment. You haven't really done anything but to hold this kid up to make sure they don't fall over. And that's what I'm doing with these restaurant owners, is that same feeling, and I get it over and over again.
Now talk to me a bit about Frantic Films, who's on board with the show and co-produces the show. What's your relationship like with them, and being in the home base here in Winnipeg?
Well, I got a chance. The great thing about coming back to Winnipeg now is that it's my boss. It's my new company that I get to work for, and I got to tour the facilities. Again, it's they do a bunch of different shows, and they work with a lot of professionals on that show, and then they have me. So I feel very, very grateful and very lucky that they haven't sent me to reform school of television, because that's where I feel like I belong most of the time. So they put up with my crap, and for that I'm eternally grateful. There's this country south of us. I don't know. I think it's called America.
Okay.
In America, they make a lot of television, and one of the biggest executives in American cable television said to me, he said, "I'll give you the secret why you're on TV." And it speaks volumes for a company like Frantic, is that as Canadians, we're really good storytellers. We listen. We're smarter than the average bears, right? So we've amassed some intelligence. We listen, and when we speak, we're compassionate to people about what we're saying. It's not about, and everyone says, oh, it looks so Canadian. It's like, where's the glitz? Where's the pyrotechnics? It's like, well, no, we're just really telling a story here. And I think that we're great storytellers. And, Manitoba, as you know, in Winnipeg, this is salt of the earth people, and we are in general Canada. I mean, I come from a big jaded city, Toronto. So it's really nice to have this. This is our pulse, this is our nucleus, and we come from people that are very caring and very compassionate. And again, I feel very lucky to be a part of the company. And I like being Canadian. I like Canadian food, and it's like throwing the pebble into the pond of local, regional, national. So if you're in Quebec, there's really only one wild rice to use. It comes from here. But if you're in Winnipeg, yeah, there might be duck farms around, but Champs-Élysées and Maryville, outside of Montreal in the Eastern Townships, is the duck you should use because it's the best in Canada. I'm proud that we're a country of three oceans, that we have amazing product, and I don't like, if I come into a town, I was in Edmonton, and there was some longtime Edmonton residents, and they was kind of trash-talking the town. And I was like, I really got my back up and said, absolutely not, man. Like, one, if you don't like it here, move and find a new city. But two, if you're still here, you talk up your city, because we're proud of you that you're Edmonton, and we don't want you to go anywhere. And I, I do spend a lot of my life on my little soapbox that I drag around with me. Just television gives me the opportunity of more people that will actually listen to me. So I like to get into town, find out what you're proud of, and then, as in Rome, man, just get into it. The great thing about the show is it really isn't fluff. Like, there's a lot of shows that fill a time slot, and they're fluffy. And you'll talk about an ingredient, or you're doing whatever, and it's like, yawn. If I got to see someone make chocolate chip cookies again, I'm going to shoot myself. But I think what we're doing is championing people that are already in the restaurant business. Hopefully taking some people that are a bit too delusional to get into business to do it, But the people that are there to say, hey, look at that table and chair as dollars and cents. Have your staff romance your food or tableside romance. So some of the things that we bring into play in the show are really valuable tools in this business. So we're giving something back to people.
Okay.
So if that stops people from having shows that fix broken restaurants, so be it. Tried that already.